My cybersecurity origin, becoming uncrawlable. December 30th, 2024, 11:47 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It begins. Every hero's journey begins with an unexpected call. Mine came as a breach, not in code, but in trust. What followed changed everything. It started off with some odd behavior on my phone. As most people do, I assumed things were out of sync with an update and wrote it off to my own mistakes. An email not coming in or a delayed message in my texts. At the end of 2024, I heard a podcast that gave me urgency about cybersecurity and as a result started monitoring my AT&T network with Wireshark. It was there that I first discovered malformed packets and reported it to AT&T. What followed was a national breach apparently resulting from an insider who was working inside an army base in Texas. This would later be dubbed the Salt Typhoon attack in early January 2025. By end of December, my bank account was breached and thus began a series of financial attacks that would include things such as attaching fraudulent PayPal accounts to my banks, stealing my mail, and freezing my business bank account. This wasn't a simulation or a pen test. It was my life under siege. I quickly realized that my entire house full of IoT devices was likely a problem and scrambled to maintain control as things escalated further in February. I started tracking my phone logs and found suspicious connections that may indicate hacking from nearby vehicle traffic in the front of my home. It then moved into the next phase, which was using the phone to connect to my Chromecast, which requires channels that have inherently lower levels of security. Though I had updated to a hardwired Fire Stick, it took me some time to identify the leak. Even when the TV was off, I still had to monitor the Amazon Fire Stick and thus began a new type of analysis, measuring the amount of interference on my workflow with A/B tests of IoTs and phones being on or connected to Wi-Fi. As it turned out, what they were doing was using Google accounts logged into both the laptop and phone combined with the Prime accounts that connected to the Fire Stick and the TV to attack the laptops. These came in the form of QUIC traffic and DNS pings that targeted apps and created heap spray attacks to crash the program's memory continuously. At first equipped only with basic firewall techniques, I struggled, unable to manage properly blocking them because I was only seeing one layer of the traffic that was on the attack. Often this would even occur when my router was unplugged. The hackers lived nearby or would go to the public restaurant downstairs and cast their phone's hotspots into my home or use devices in range to attack my computers. What should have been a 10-minute transfer would turn into 7 hours. I ended up resorting to Faraday bags to protect my devices from outside interference. But just like in any other survival situation, I began to adapt. Lucky for me, I wasn't going into this situation as a total beginner. 15 years in SEO and tech SEO plus 10 years of programming around crawlers actually had equipped me with the exact skill set I needed to succeed. Instead of optimizing to get crawlers into a new space, it was about making myself uncrawlable for hackers. And so I thought, instead of becoming an expert in every possible way I can get hacked, why not look at the hack as an algorithm update? I started collecting and automating as much data as possible into a pipeline and then began to form a new hypothesis based on SEO theory, behavioral/contextual cybersecurity forensics. Over time, testing different paths of attack became second nature and I integrated AIs that were trained by cybersecurity experts into the workflow to enhance the apps I was developing for defense. It took me a month and a half, but eventually I was able to map back the exact track that the hackers were using to identify the memory exploit and also build defenses against it happening in the future. What I found indicated that the attack patterns matched known Russian group APT28 or Fuzzy Bear. Google, LinkedIn, and other major tech companies confirmed in June attacks by a related group 1 month later. On May 30th, I disclosed the issue to the MCP vendor, a complete vulnerability package in hand. They didn't respond, but after following up with one of the IoT makers involved in the attack did verify and replicate the attack, confirming validation of my analysis. Despite no formal hacking on my end, reverse engineering, tracing invisible causes, spotting broken logic. That was my training, and it worked when applied to different data sets, the same as Google's algorithm. With AI hackers, it's no longer going after big whales. This is fishing with dynamite. If you're in the water, then you're going to get hit. In the age of AI, though it should not fall on normal citizens, it may be required of us to take it as an opportunity to learn and create better cyber defense for ourselves. We can't stop everything, but we can make it much more difficult than it currently is for the ever-growing army of hackers rising up. My mission is henceforth to continue to build tools for consumer defense and educate the majority that is unaware of these capabilities or risks in their technology. If you are currently experiencing hacking or are just interested in learning more, contact us today.